What comes to your mind when you think of a brand? Can you picture the brand's logo? Do you even remember their colors? Can you even picture the products, as in the label of a product you bought, how it looks like? Welcome to today's episode of Understanding Branding. In today's episode, we are looking at brand identity. So we explain what it is, and then we will also look at 5 key visual elements of brand identity. Stick and say, this is Understanding Branding, and my name is Ziba. Brand identity. When we talk about brand identity, they are the visual elements of a brand, such as the logo, the color, their designs that identifies and distinguishes a brand in the customer's mind. So when we talk about their brand identity, their designs, their logo, their colors that distinguishes them in the minds of their customers, and then also identify them as well. And that is a brand identity. If a company have a very strong brand identity, it is easy for the customers or the target audience to one, identify their logo, identify their colors as well, and then how or what they do. So companies with strong brand identity, it is easy for their customers to identify or to be noticed by their audience. The visual representation of a brand is a critical part of creating a strong identity. And here are some key elements or visual elements of a solid or strong brand identity. And the first one is logo. Now, we've talked about logo in our previous videos. You can check it out on YouTube as well. Now, when we talk about logo in creating a brand identity, logo should be simple and memorable. Create a logo that will be easily identified by your customers or your target audience. Now, a simple logo also will stick more easier with your brand in the minds of your customers. Now, the second element that we want to talk about is colors. Most brands select colors based on their desired brand personality, their brand value, and the type of customer experience they want to communicate, right? So, for example, the color green, right? Green evokes nature and harmony, right? And it is often used by brands who wants to focus or with a focus of wellness and sustainability, right? So they go in for green. An example color like blue. Blue is associated with trust and security, which is why blue has become the most popular brand color for brands as well, because of its meaning, what is associated with trust and security. So when deciding on a color for your brand, understand the meaning, what they will mean for your company. The next one we want to talk about is typography. Typography. Now, this is the way types are used in your brand marketing materials. So the type of font you use in your branding with the variations. So you need to get the variations, how you use it, the weight, the size that you use in your designs. That is the typography, and it plays a major role in brand identity. Now, every company should have a type of font or associated with a type of font. It's very, very important. It will be easy for your customers to identify your brand by the type of font that you use. So I'll urge and advise every entity or every entrepreneur should stick to one or two at least font and should be using it regularly, and that will be part of its brand. But when you continue to change fonts, so in your artwork today it's this font, in your designs next is this font, on social media it's a different font, on your website, the different fonts, it's kind of confused your customers. They don't know which one is the original one. And then they will realize that it will be difficult for them to identify your brand as well. So get a font. Probably you can get a family font whereby you get the bold, the italics, the medium, the regular, the thin. Get a font and make it personal and that will be part of your brand identity, so your brand as well. So typography, how you use your font or your types in your brand marketing materials. The next visual element of brand identity we want to talk about are videos, image, and graphics. Videos, images, and graphics. The use of visuals may include image, icons, illustration, video content, and more. Considering this type of visuals, make sure you use the ones that makes the most sense for your brand and use it. Give you an example. Imagine you are into clothing, right? Probably you sell clothes or you manufacture clothes, whatever. Now, why don't you invest in your photography, whereby you invest getting people to wear your product, taking the pictures of them, get the originality of it, rather than downloading it or getting it elsewhere. Now, when you do that, one, it will be linked to your brand and people will be easier to identify you and trust you because it won't be found anywhere. You will have the sole authority of that image. So invest in those images as well. The ones that make sense for your brand, use them. The final that we want to talk about is product labels and packaging. Now, when we talk about product labels, right, they define the look and feels of your product. So the label that you have around your product. Now, labels are the first point of call to your customers or your target audience. Now, some people go to the market with a clear or open mind. Now, how well or how nice is your label? When labels are very attractive, it will attract the customers to take a second look at it. And then we'll even move further to even read what is on the package. So labeling is very important in brand identity. The containers as well, that is the packaging, the container that you use for your products. It says a lot. It also helps in brand identity. Let me give you a typical example. When we talk about Coca-Cola, I'm sure you remember the container or the packaging, right? Yes. Now, this has been used for so long, it has become part of their brand. They don't change it, and they will always make sure it is in the mind of the customers. So their label and their packaging goes hand in hand, and that creates a strong brand identity for them. So the moment you see it, you see the shape, you see their colors, it is easy for them or it's easy for you to identify the product. So label and packaging is very important in a strong brand identity. What have we considered today? We've talked about brand identity, we've defined it, we've seen what is involved, about some key visual elements of brand identity. We've talked about logo, we've talked about colors, we've talked about typography, we've talked about video, image, and graphics. We've also talked about product labels and packaging. These are key elements when taken into consideration will help create a strong brand identity. When all this is put in its places correctly, it will be easier for your customers to identify you easily and also stick with you. This has been Understanding Branding. My name is Ziba.